Welcome to Financial Strategies with Andrew Agemy in Connecticut and Daniel Agemy in Colorado.
Hey, Daniel, there's a lot of talk these days about renewable energy.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I mean, that's a really big deal today. But why do you think it is we don't talk about renewable wealth? Maybe today we should talk about building a renewable resource in your wealth. I'm Daniel Agemy.
And I'm Andrew Agemy. We want to welcome you to this edition of Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy. Today's topic is Retire Smart, how to build renewable wealth. Well, we're glad to have you today. And Daniel, this is great topic to have. Like you say, everybody likes renewable resource because energy, right? Because you're always got some energy. The sun is always producing energy, and these kinds of things, and that's all good. But I think a lot of times people don't understand how they can actually have their money do that, and that's a terrible thing when people don't understand that. So I think there's a lot of different aspects, right? In my mind, there's a couple things that we should talk about with this. One is the mindset that people have to build renewable wealth. Another is keeping in mind the purpose of what their wealth is for, and maximizing income. Timing the market does matter. Or timing does matter, but that's going to be interesting to see that it may not be what people think it is, though, right?
Yeah, a lot of this stuff may not be what people think it is, because a lot of these renewable resources that people talk about are not renewable, right?
Right.
But you can build, right? People can build if they have those things that you talked about, especially that mindset. That may be the most important one out of all of these. They can build a renewable portfolio, renewable wealth. And we'll dive into these things a little bit deeper. Um, and and I like those four things that you pointed out. Which one should we start with?
Well, I think I think mindset is a good one to start with. But before we do, I want to kind of define what renewable wealth looks like for people, right? And to me, one of the best analogies is that of a chicken. And if you had chickens, and you want to eat in retirement, well, you'll always eat because they produce eggs, and it's a renewable resource. The eggs just keep coming, and and then if you don't need the eggs, if you take the eggs, you buy more chickens, you get more renewable resource. So now you get more eggs, and then that continues to propagate itself.
But
Unfortunately,
it compounds and it gets more and more and more, right?
right?
Because
Exactly.
as those chickens have eggs, and you either take those eggs and you sell them and you buy more chickens, why do you take them and buy more chickens? For those people who don't live in farmlands, why do you do that instead of just letting them hatch? Because if they hatch, they're not going to lay eggs for
Right.
quite some time, right? So you take them, you sell them, and maybe you don't only want to eat chicken, so you
Right.
or eggs, so you use that money to buy some other things that you do want. And that's the
Right.
same thing. You don't want just more dividends always, right? Just compounding. The goal for retirement is that you get to spend the money, you get to do it on
Right.
things that you want. And that's kind of that whole chicken and egg
Right.
analogy, right?
Right.
It's pretty neat. And the less you sell, or the less you spend, the faster you get more chickens, the faster it expands.
Right.
But you don't have to do that forever, because you'll just have too many chickens running around, too many eggs. You won't know what to do with them all.
Well, that's such a life to have too much income, right? I don't know if you can have too much income. That's a great thing. And when we're talking about that too, put it in terms of dollars. So, if you have $500,000, I know people with hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank that they're making minuscule on. But if it today, with what interest rates are and whatnot, there's no reason why they shouldn't be making 20 to 30 to even $40,000 of interest and dividends on that every year, right? And if you take that, let's just say for sake of argument, right? It's $25,000 that you're getting of interest and dividends, and it's $400,000 that you have. Well, you're going to, it's going to become $500,000 in just a few short years, because $25,000 every year for 3 years is $75,000. But then you're getting compounding happening. So in just 3 years or so, you're very close to $500,000 by having a renewable resource, renewable wealth from that standpoint. Beautiful thing, right? So,
and I think it's so funny how we think time is takes longer than it does. People are like, well, in a year or two, I want to buy a house, or I want to spend this money. And then 5, 6 years later, it's still
goes
sitting
by.
there.
Right.
But now the spending ability of that
Yeah.
$400,000 is diminished, because
Yeah.
over a 5 year period of time, if it's the last 5 years, you've lost 50%, almost 50% of your spending power. It's an insane. It's not usually that much, but because of COVID,
Yeah. Right.
yeah.
Right. Well, if you just joined us, you're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy. Today's topic is retire smart, how to build renewable wealth. And we're having a great time talking about this today and comparing it to the chickens and the eggs. But we have a guide that we like to put in your hand to be able to help you educate yourself further, because that's what we're all about, is financial strategies, is because people don't know what people don't know. So here's something to be able to help you know even more than what we're telling you on the radio show. It's called Definitive Guide to Retirement. And we'd love to put this in your hand to be able to help you understand retirement. If you're in retirement or approaching retirement, this is something that will encourage you, help you, and educate you further. So you can have this guide for free by calling us at 800-725-7616. 800-725-7616. Call now for your free copy of Definitive Guide to Retirement. Daniel, let's get into this mindset, right? The mindset is so important for building renewable wealth, because there's basically two mindsets. If we take it and boil it down, right? For one, we can say positive and negative mindset. We can say abundance versus scarcity, right? And we can describe that in a host of various ways, doing the same exact thing, but opposites in mindsets. And the scarcity mindset is not going to allow you to build wealth, is it?
No, not at all. There's story after story of traders, right?
Mm-hmm.
Investment traders. How they make money is they make trades where they see bigger upside than downside, right? So they may use leverage, they may do these different things, but their goal is to make a huge windfall of money. And there's story after story where a trader will make $10 million. He's set for life. She's set for life. And what ends up happening, it doesn't fit with their paradigm. It doesn't fit with their mindset. So within months, they lose all the money. And why is that? Well, because their mindset is a poor mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because what do they do with their friends? Well, a lot of these, when you look at these stories of these specific traders, they hang out with their friends and they do things with their friends. They like to complain about how the world is against them. They like to complain about how they don't have money to do the things that they want to do. They like to complain about how people have nicer things about them. And this is a paradigm that they've built over time that gives them joy. And it doesn't make sense how complaining would give you joy, but it's the way that they've structured their inner being, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's people who are listening to this and they're saying, this is baloney, this is crazy. And there's people, probably wealthy people, who are saying, yeah, exactly. I've worked on my mindset for a long time. And these people they have to do one thing or the other. They have to lose the money, unconsciously, of course, or
Right,
they
of
have
course.
to change their friends, change where they live, change the way they see themselves and their environment, right?
Right.
And what ends up typically happening is they lose the money. You see this with lottery winners. You see this because they don't feel they deserve the wealth. They don't just feel they deserve the abundance. And so if people listening are in that mindset, it is very difficult, if not impossible, to build wealth. So you have to check your mindset first. Do you deserve wealth? Right?
Well, yeah. Daniel, that is so significant. I've been for decades and decades, basically my whole life, working on changing my mindset. And you have helped me in a lot of ways, but mostly God has helped me. Jesus Christ helped me, the Word of God, right? Like the one verse in Romans 12 that says, "And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God." So that's why God's given us the word to help us to be able to focus on positive things, because the enemy of our souls, the devil, wants us to focus on that which is negative. And I'm not preaching a prosperity gospel here. I'm just saying God's got good stuff for us. That's why Jesus came. Jesus came so that we can have life and life abundantly. But the thief has come to kill, steal, and destroy, it says in John 10:10. And so, that's what we're talking about, right? Is how to build renewable wealth starts with your mindset. And are you going to let the thief steal it from you? Or are you going to, accept that abundant life that God has called and that Jesus came to this earth to give us? Whether you believe it or not, it's true. It is true. And so that is real key. Well, I see it's time for us to take a break. This is getting exciting today, and we're going to keep going with it. And you're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy. Today's topic is Retire Smart, how to build renewable wealth. And with today, Agemy Financial Strategies is all about helping people to know what they don't know, be able to make smart decisions, educated, smart decisions. And so we have a book today by Dr. Carrie Johnson called Behavioral Investing, Why Smart People Make Dumb Mistakes with Their Money. We'd love to put this in your hand. It's a good read, easy read. And you can have it for free by calling us at 800-725-7616 for your free, no obligation copy to the next five callers at 800-725-7616, Behavioral Investing, why smart people make dumb mistakes with their money. Call now.
This is Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy.
I can't, Sally said. I can't make these decisions. I said, Sally, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to educate you so that you can make the decision, a good and smart decision, once you've been educated. I can't, Andrew. And at the end of that meeting, she went home and she came back a second time. And she said, I can't, Andrew. I can't make these decisions. And finally, I had to call it quits and say, okay, Sally, I think you're right. I think you can't, because you won't allow yourself to make these decisions. You won't allow yourself to learn because you can't. You keep saying, I can't. As long as you keep saying, I can't, you're not going to be able to. I'm Andrew Agemy.
And I'm Daniel Agemy, and you're listening to Financial Strategies. Today we're talking about Retire Smart, how to build a renewable wealth. And AAA, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. That's a Henry Ford quote, right?
Right.
Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And your example is a perfect example of that. We know that it is possible to make those decisions, but if our mindsets won't let us make those decisions and we keep telling ourselves we can't, how can we do it if we keep telling ourselves we can't? Our bodies believe what we tell them. Our minds believe what we tell them.
That's
and we say,
self-talk.
I can't.
Yeah.
Then we're limiting ourselves. It's not because it's not possible. It's because we are blocking ourselves from making that decision.
Yeah, our self-talk, motivates us and drives us in such directions, positively or negatively, depending what that self-talk is. And we really have to be careful. And that's why we ended up, the last segment with, that scripture from Romans 12, verse 2. But, with what we're talking about is how to build renewable wealth. And it starts with our mindset, whether we have an opportunistic mindset or a negative a mindset, right? If we see where there's opportunity and we go toward that opportunity even though we may not know what to do or how to do it, at least if we see opportunity, go toward it. That's the key. That's how you're going to be able to build renewable wealth. Without that, with having a negative mindset, and that's where, in the last segment, we talked about people having hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank, making less than 1% because they have a negative, a non-abundance attitude, a scarcity attitude. They're so afraid that they're paralyzed and, procrastinate. And as a result, they're making a decision by indecision, which is not the way to build a renewable resource with your wealth. And so anyway, that is the key. So we've talked about so far how retire smart with how to build renewable wealth is that it's kind of like the chicken and the eggs, where the chicken produces eggs, it's a renewable resource, and the mindset in what we want to do and how we're going to do that is where it starts in building that and what we want to do.
Yeah. And what makes me wonder is when people have, 400, 500,000 in the bank sitting there, it's not insured and it's not earning anything. Why is that? Is that because they have a poor mindset? Is because they're telling themselves they can't make a decision? Folks, you can buy treasury bills for any period you want. So it's not a liquidity issue. What do you think corporations with $1 billion of cash do? They don't let it sit in a bank account, right? A liquidity is not a problem. The most liquid, the safest thing that you can have, roll over every period of time that you want, you can do and earn 5+%, 5.25 plus, right?
Right.
So that's not the real answer, is that you need liquidity, because you can earn 5% and still
Right.
have the liquidity.
Well, people don't know what they don't know, Daniel. That's why we have this show, right? So that we can help people to understand some things that they don't understand. There's a lot of people listening that know a lot of things about the medical field and about, this field and that field and technology and whatnot. But they don't know about finances. And sometimes they think they know, but because they're not professional, they don't work in it every day. This is a very specialized world, and if you're listening to us, we did a show on it's a specialized world, and you can go back and listen to that podcast. But that is it. But the key is, where is your mindset? What do you want to do? Where do you see opportunity? And who's going to be able to feed you? When we're talking about mindset, right? John Wooden said that in 5 years from now, you're going to be the same person. But what's going to be different is your friends and the books you read. And your friends and the books you read are going to determine what kind of person you are and what you're doing and what you're thinking, right? And so you want to make sure that you're around people like that. And that's where it's important to be able to have a financial coach, financial CEO that's going to help you think opportunistically and think positively toward being able to renew have a renewable resource with your wealth. And so that is a key aspect there. You listen to Financial Strategies with Andrew Daniel Agemy because people don't know what people don't know. And because of that, we've dedicated ourselves to being able to educate people and help people to make good decisions on purpose rather than by indecision. We have a guide that we like to give to you. It's called Definitive Guide to Retirement. It's going to be able to help you, give you some tips, some ideas, some education. It's only about 4 pages long or so, but you can have it for free by calling us at 800-725 7616, 800-725-7616. Ask for it by name, the retirement guide, and we'll be glad to get that to you as soon as we can. You listen to Financial Strategies. Today's topic is Retire Smart, how to build renewable wealth. Daniel, we've been talking about one way to build renewable wealth is through the mindset, right? And having the right mindset for building that wealth. But another thing is, what is the purpose of this money, right? Making sure that you're investing it and use it and building, that it's invested in the purposeful manner that you need it, want it for, right? Purpose is so key. There's all kinds of investments out there. There's all kinds of cars out there, right? The question is, what's the purpose that you need for that car? What's the purpose that you need for those investment? What is it doing? And right, speak to that.
Right, right. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so the purpose, I think our industry, maybe one of the absolute biggest mistakes that our industry makes is they don't look at purpose of the money, right?
Exactly.
Because it may be handcuffs, okay? There may be handcuffs on the person helping you, and that may be the reason. It may
Yeah.
be an education problem, or it may be a greed problem. It could be any of these things. But
Right.
you were working with a wonderful, wonderful advisor who is one of the nicest people that you've ever met.
Yeah.
And you tell them that you'd like to reduce your risk because you think markets are going to be bumpy and you want to collect $20,000 off of your assets for the next 20 years. And they put you in growthy things. Why did they do that? It's one of the nicest persons you ever met. Why did they do that? It's one of those reasons. It's because they think it's going to go up and they want to get bigger fees. It's because they have handcuffs and they're not allowed to do it, or it's just because they have not been educated
Well,
properly on a different way of being able to generate $20,000 a year without being risky.
yeah, and one of the things I think goes along with that is laziness. Is that
Or
sometimes how they've not been educated, right?
that.
Because they don't educate
But this is
themselves
a
to
nice
find out what
person,
there is.
and nice people aren't lazy.
Okay. All right. All right. Fair enough. But good point. But the purpose of the money is important. And generally speaking, right, there's three general purposes that people have. One is, having income. Because when you retire, it's not that you need $1 million, $2 million, $5 million. What you need is a check. You need income to replace the check that you've been getting from your employer every paycheck.
Or
Um,
another word for that is confidence, right?
okay. Yeah.
Confidence that you're going to have money coming in for the next 30, 40 years of your retirement, right? Because
Right.
that's what it's buying you, it's paying you, just like you have confidence to pay your bills, you have confidence to go on vacation when you're in your working years because you have a job. If you didn't have a job, you wouldn't spend the same kind of money, right?
Right. Right.
So it's that income is confidence. Another way to say it, confidence that you're not going to outlive your savings.
Right, right. And then when you have enough income, that's the definition of a perfect retirement, right? The dream retirement, having more than enough income to live the rest of your life, right? So that's the first, generally the first purpose. Second, another purpose is passing on the wealth to the next generation, our future generations, which has a risk aspect to it, right? Because depending on what your risk is dependent upon what you're going to be able to pass on. But that's another purpose that people have, is passing on to another generation. And then another purpose was, a large purchase that somebody wants to do. They're growing their money. They want their money to be able to buy something. Maybe it's a second home or a third home or whatever the case may be. Maybe it's an RV. Maybe, whatever that large purchase is that they need money for. But the key and how you invest your money for those things are all different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Because the purpose is key to how the money is invested and what it's going to do as far as building renewable wealth. Well,
Now, those three things that you said, those are specifically tailored to someone who's in or near retirement, correct? Because there'd be a fourth if you were talking
right,
about younger people.
right,
But that's specifically geared to people who they can taste retirement or they're already in
right,
retirement, right?
right, Right, exactly. And probably the show should be called Retirement Financial Strategies, right? Or Retirement Strategies, right?
Yeah.
Because we're really
Yeah.
geared to people in and close to retirement, within 10 years of retirement and in retirement. It was what this show is geared for, folks. And so if you're younger, you're going to get some things, you're going to get some understanding. These principles can still work for you, but it's a different mindset for a younger person than for somebody that's in or close to retirement. So purpose is a huge key for people who are in and close to retirement. Prior to that, it's more of a growth mindset rather than a purpose mindset. Just trying to grow, just trying to build assets. As you know. So anyway, uh, today's topic on financial strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy is retire smart, how to build renewable wealth. And, we're going to time for us to take another break. But before we do, we'd like to offer you this book, Behavioral Investing, Why Smart People Make Dumb Mistakes with Their Money. We'd love to put this in your hands, written by Carrie Johnson, Dr. Carrie Johnson, psychologist, and it's got some excellent things in here. Easy read book. Love to put it in your hand to educate you further, hopefully to be able to motivate you not to make those dumb decisions, but to make decisions, smart decisions on purpose as opposed to by indecision. We put this in your hand for the next 5 callers at 800-725-7616, 800-725-7616. Free, no obligation. Love to educate you, take you further in your planning and setting yourself up for retirement. Call now for Behavioral Investing by Carrie Johnson. 800-725-7616.
You're locked on to Financial Strategy with Andrew and Daniel Agemy.
Purpose is important, and we had a 15-passenger van for my 8 children as they were grown up, to be able to carry them from one place to another, take them to Ohio to see the family in Ohio from Connecticut. But then purpose changed. They all grew up, didn't need the 15-passenger van anymore, gave the 15-passenger van away, bought a 4-wheel drive pickup truck with a plow, because my purpose has changed. Now I want to plow the snow in my driveway and in my office driveway and that kind of thing, and be able to get around. Well, now that my purpose is taken care of, I was able to go after performance, and I bought a 2023 last call edition of Challenger in plum crazy, right? It's a 6-speed transmission. That's just crazy, crazy Hemi, right? So the point is once your purpose is taken care of, the purpose is important. You can then go after performance, which changes the purpose, but that is the key. I'm Andrew Agemy.
And I'm Daniel Agemy, and you're listening to Financial Strategies. Today we're talking about retire smart, how to build renewable wealth. And AAA, that was a lot of P's. All right. You're gonna have to break that down. It sounded like you were trying to say something fast and not mess up the P's. But yes, okay. So what you're saying is the purpose is so important because people a lot of times will think growth, like growth is the purpose, growth, growth, growth. And let's break down accumulation versus growth. So younger people need to accumulate, not necessarily growth, because what happens is you have to save, 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 save. And so volatility becomes your friend because you're taking money out of your pocket and you're putting it into investments at all different prices. And in fact, when markets come crashing down, as much as you hate looking at your statement, it's the best thing that could happen to you because you're saving money and you're buying the same assets for cheaper. All right. Now we go, instead of accumulation, we talk about growth. Well, if you've already accumulated your wealth and you want growth, it's a different story. Because if you're not actively saving and markets come down, well, that doesn't benefit you. It doesn't benefit you at all.
Right.
Unless you have cash on the sidelines or you want to save, right? Because your asset comes down and it could take 13 years, like it did between 2000 and 2013, to come back. That doesn't sound like any kind of growth I want. What about you, AAA?
No, not at all. That's no growth. Yeah, and that deals with the strategy too, right? Not just to perform the purpose, but the strategy that you're investing in. The strategy that you use when you're working is a different strategy than the strategy you need to have when you retire. And more than ever does it need to be purposeful when you're in retirement. But we're talking today about retiring smart, how to build renewable wealth. So far we talked about one of the things that's so key to that is the mindset. Being able to have an opportunity mindset, take advantage of the opportunities, have a positive mindset. Because if you don't have that, it's going to drag you backwards, and it's not going to work for you. It's not going to work for your advisor if you have that kind of mindset, because they're not going to want to work with you. Then there's the purpose is the second thing. And then, moving forward, maximizing income is another way to be able to build renewable wealth, as well as that time does matter. Timing does matter. So, Daniel, before we move on, is there anything that we think we need to, we're not, we're trying to hit these things, each one to a certain extent in this show. And then, we'll probably go more intensely into these in future shows. But anything on purpose before we move on to maximizing income?
Well, if you've accumulated your wealth already, purpose is so important. Purpose is always important, but think about, spend some time, write it down if you need to. Stop, sit down and think about this. What is the purpose of the wealth that you already have? Is it to leave a legacy? Is it to leave wealth to your children or your children's children or your children's children? Right?
Right.
You've already accumulated so much wealth, and that's important to you. Is it so that you can have the dream retirement, the retirement that you think is only a dream? Because if that's what it is, you can still grow. I don't want to confuse growth with accumulation. It's two
Right.
different things. You can still
Right.
grow your money, but growth in this um, terminology is protecting the wealth that you already have and growing it in an organic way, in the
Right.
renewable resource way, by creating dividends and interest, protecting what you have and growing it the old fashioned way or the organic way. And then the third one, right, would be you need to purchase something big. You got a lot of money in the bank because you want to buy a house, or you want to buy, right, and that's another one of these purposes. Do you have a large purpose that's coming up?
Right.
Um, so choose that purpose, because the strategy will be based off of the purpose. And it could be a couple of these, but rank them in order. Which one is the most important to you? And then see if you have a strategy to get there. And if you don't, well, that's up to you, right? That's on you.
Right.
You need to figure out how to do that. If that's asking for help, if that's doing research, if that's taking college classes so you can learn how to do that, but that's up to you how you're going to get there.
Exactly. Good, good, good. You're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew Daniel Agemy. Today's topic is Retire Smart, how to build renewable wealth. And uh, we love to, one of the things that's involved with building renewable wealth is taxes. How, it's not important, making what you make is not as important as making sure you get to keep what you make. And so we have a brochure that we'd like to put in your hand today, if you're so inclined, 4-page proactive tax saving strategies. Be able to help you be able to understand how to build renewable wealth by keeping as much in your pocket as possible. So if you like this proactive tax strategies, ask for it by name, tax strategies, by calling 800-725-7616, 800-725-7616. Daniel, well, another aspect. So we talked so far about building, how to build renewable wealth with having the right mindset, and then having, making sure you're dealing with the right purpose, that your investments are set up and your wealth is set up for the purposeful manner in which you determine, as opposed to a financial advisor or anybody else. Third thing is maximizing income, making sure that you got the most income. This is how you build renewable wealth, right? And there's a lot of ways that you can build and maximize income. Income comes from a variety of sources. So security is a way of having income. And depending when you take your Social Security and how you take your Social Security, if you're married or if you're not married, there's strategies involved with how to maximize your Social Security income. If you get a pension, there's ways to maximize your pension. There's various options that you have when you take your pension that some allow you to minimize your pension and some allow you to maximize your pension. So these are ways to maximize income. And then, of course, getting the maximum income you can from your investments, so dividends and interest from your investments. And there's nobody better at than we are from that standpoint. I mean, we may have people that are similar, but very few, if any, as far as getting the most income from that standpoint. And if you say, "Boy, he's very braggadocious," well, I mean, it's a fact, is what it is. And so I don't. It's not being braggadocious. It's not, a part of humility is just stating the facts as what they are, and that's what it is. So the idea here then is maximize income, and then there's probably some other ways that you can maximize the income. I mean, if you're working, right, maximize the income is working some overtime or whatever to be able to make more money. But we don't want you to have to work. We want your investments to work. A lot of people have money in the bank sitting. It's like, or they have it in the stock market right now, which it's really not growing. It's just coming back to somewhere where it was, maybe a year ago or something. So you're not really getting paid on your money. It's sitting on the beach sipping pina coladas when we want your money to be in a sweatshop working hard for you, and you sitting on the beach sipping pina coladas.
Yeah, that's a good point. So stock market has not reached its highs, whereas these types of portfolios we're talking about, or our clients, they are setting new highs in their portfolios. And what was it in 21? We have not reached highs of the market since 21. That's what you want in a retirement portfolio, is that you're reaching new highs, even though markets have not reached new highs, because that's the way you get there is by maximizing income, right? The way you get there is, but you need that to make it sustainable, because you cannot be dependent on the market's whims. And that's something that really bothers me with our industry as well, where people expect you to put your retirement on hold. Advisors or financial firms expect you to put your retirement on hold because markets are not doing what they thought they would or they should do.
Yeah.
And they ask you to put your retirement on hold. You already waited 30, 40 years for this retirement. Why are you going to put it on hold? Even if it's 6 months, why are you going to put it on hold? That's ridiculous.
Right. It is. It is. It is. And that's egregious too, because you don't have to. Um, you said it's a beautiful thing, right? That it should always be growing, right? So I love doing these reviews with our clients, Daniel, where maybe they're getting, they have a million, 1.1 million, something like that. They're getting $60,000 a year of income. And then the next year I have a review with them, and now they're making $75,000 a year income. That's a 25% increase. Now that doesn't happen with everybody and all the time, but that does happen, right? And even though they're maybe their 1.1 million or 1.1 is up to maybe 1.2 or something, maybe it's not up a lot, but their income being up 25%, retirement income from the year before. Who wants a 25% pay raise, right? That's what we're doing for retirement, and that's what we're talking about: maximizing income so that you can not just have as much as you need, but also get more as time goes on. Well, as you can see, we're pretty excited about this. I'm very passionate about this. But you're listening to Financial Strategies. Andrew and Daniel Agemy. Today's topic is retire smart and how to build a renewable wealth. Well, what financial strategy is all about is educating people to be able to make smart decisions, because people don't know what people don't know. So we like to give you this book, Behavioral Investing by Dr. Kerry Johnson, Why Smart People Make Dumb Mistakes with Their Money. And we want you to be able to make good decisions. We'd love to put this in your hand. Easy read book, not a lot of pages to it. I think there's 150 pages or something to it. Yours for free by calling us at 800-725-7616. 800-725-7616. For the next 5 callers, call now.
This is Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy.
So Robert had been a client for many years and was retiring. And I said, "Hey, Robert, you've got this pension that you can have, and they're going to pay you $45,000 a year. And if you die, they'll give the $45,000 to your wife. But if she dies, you're still going to get $45,000. There's not going to be any kind of increase. And then, when you die, it's done. Nothing to pass on to the kids." And Robert didn't like that. So he said, "Andrew, is there something else that we can do?" I said, "Well, let's look to see if you can um, roll over your pension." And so he found out he could roll over his pension. So he rolled over $1 million into his IRA that we then invested money. I said, "Robert, look we're getting you now $55,000 a year. And it doesn't matter if you die, your wife dies, you're going to get $55,000 a year. And then when the second of you dies, the $1 million is going to go to the kids." I'm Andrew Agemy.
And I'm Daniel Agemy, and you're listening to Financial Strategies. Today we're talking about retire smart, how to build renewable wealth. I like that. Renewable wealth. That's pretty neat. Triple M, on these pensions, a lot of times people will say things like, well, it's my company. I've been with them forever. I like this. And they think it's in their best interest, but their company is different than their pension. Their company doesn't make the investment choices. The company isn't guaranteeing. There is things the company has to do, but your boss or your boss's boss is not taking care of the investments,
That's right.
and it's different. So people need to remove the emotion and analyze this very well, because we've seen the difference between what people are offered and what people could get.
Yes.
Huge, unbelievable
Yeah.
differences. And
Yeah.
smart people who don't do this every day can make mistakes. So if you're a smart person, if you don't think you're financially smart, but you have one of these buyout options, early retirement buyouts, pension options, you have one of these, or you're about to have one of these, you need to give us a call. Doesn't matter if you want to work with us or not, but you need to get a second pair of eyes. And we look at these things all the time. And we'll either say this is your best option, or maybe you should look at other options, but you need to get another set of eyes, because the money people give up is insane with some of these buyout options.
Right. Right. And, uh, with that, so we're talking about maximizing income, and this is a way to maximize income, right? That what are your options? Well, yeah, you can take your pension, and there are options with your pension where you can maximize it, but then there's also sometimes you can roll the money over into an IRA and you can maximize it that way too. But I definitely would not recommend rolling it into IRA that's invested in the stock market, because then you're going to be better off taking the regular pension than doing that, because the market drops and then you lose principal. It's just terrible. So you have to be very careful. Don't try this at home. But we're talking today about retire smart, how to build renewable wealth. And one of the ways of building renewable wealth is by maximizing income. And if you have a pension, that is key to be able to look to see how can you maximize the money that you're going to get from your pension in one way or another. The other thing is Social Security, making sure you're getting the maximum on Social Security. Or some people say, "Oh, I'm going to take it as early as I can because I want my money." Well, that's not necessarily the way to maximize it. There's a lot of other ways, especially if you're married, depending upon the situation, and if both spouses have worked or not worked or whatever. There's different ways there. And then especially growing, as Daniel said, talking about growing your money the old-fashioned way, or organically through dividends and interest, because that's income. You can still get paid as you go.
And
Very,
that's
very
where
key.
it goes back to the purpose, right? Because you can maximize income through multiple ways. If you're a little bit more aggressive, or you have a longer time frame, maybe it's a trust or something like that. You want to have more equity exposure, because you want to keep up with inflation for 100 years, because it's a trust that's going to be paying out. Well, you
Yeah.
can look at equity things that pay good dividends, good companies, dividend aristocrat type stocks, these kinds
Right.
of things.
Right.
Or if you're more conservative, then there's more bond and bond like instruments where you have a contract backing it up and it pays you a lot of money. So that's where the purpose comes in. And we can't tell you what's right for you unless we sit down and we talk about purpose and all these kinds of things and then build a strategy based on that. But you need to know what that purpose is.
Right.
And then that goes into the maximizing of income, right? Because
Yeah.
it's dependent on what you need and what you want. And it's building that dream with retirement, right? AAA,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
dream retirement. Don't put yourself in a box. Don't think you can't have something in retirement. That goes
Yeah.
back to the mindset
Right.
because you haven't seen it before. You don't understand how to build this income or you don't understand how to retire. You've never
Right.
done it before, maybe, but
Right.
you know there are more possibilities than you know are there because
Yeah.
you're just not in this world yet.
Well, it's beautiful what you're talking about, Daniel, because you were talking about, once your purpose is taken care of, you can invest for performance, right? And you get somebody with $2 million, and they're getting, they have, getting 75, $80,000 of income every year, but they still have money in the stock market. Where if the stock market does go up, they're going to make more. Or you get the person that maybe is not as much in the stock market, but they're able to get 100 or $120,000 maybe plus from their $2 million every year for the rest of their life. That's some sweet money, right? And that's maximizing income. And there's not a lot of people out there that can do that for people. But this is what we're talking about. And we're just trying to educate you and our listening audience so that you can make smart decisions. You listen to Financial Strategies with Daniel and Andrew Agemy because people don't know what people don't know. Today's topic: retire smart, how to build renewable wealth. This wealth that's going to keep coming in and be able to do what you want it to do. Well, we have a guide that will be able to help you, because one of the ways to build that renewable wealth is by managing taxes. We have to pay taxes, but we don't have to pay more than what we're legally responsible for. And that is the key. I see too many people paying more taxes than what they need to. That's why I started Connecticut Sound Tax Group, to be able to help do tax planning for people and be able to provide a quality tax return at a reasonable rate. But we have a paper that we'd love to put in your hand called Proactive Tax Strategies. And we love to put this in your hand for free. So call now, 800-725-7616. Ask for it by name, Proactive Tax Strategies, 800-725-7616. Call now. Talking today about Retire Smart, how to build renewable wealth. Daniel, we just have a few minutes left in the show today, right? And we've been talking about how to build it is by making sure that we have the right mindset, the purpose, making sure that your investments are set up for the right purpose, making sure that you're maximizing the income that you need to be able to build renewable wealth, because income is renewable wealth. And then the fourth point for today is timing does matter. Now, we don't have a lot of time, and maybe we do a whole show on timing does matter, Daniel. But, timing does matter. It's not time in the market that counts, but timing does matter, right? So speak to that.
Yeah, absolutely. It matters so much. And time timing matters. That does not mean you have to be perfect at timing, or we're not suggesting that you try to time the market in the way that people think of timing markets.
That's right.
Okay. So let's break this down a little bit. The sequence of returns is huge. Okay. So if you retire and your portfolio drops 20%, you got $1 million, your portfolio drops 20%, you have $800,000. If you start your first withdrawal then, you're withdrawing from $800,000 instead of $1 million. This will affect the rest of your retirement because
That's right.
you may never get back to the million, depending how long
That's
that
right.
stays lower. That's what sequence of returns are. So
And you
timing
might
does
run out of
matter.
money. You might run out of money before you run out of life.
And like you said, we don't have time to go into this because I would love to go into actual scenario how this works. Um, but that sequence matters. Whereas if you don't sell assets in that same scenario, it came down But let's say because you were geared towards income, it didn't come down 20, it came down 15, but you didn't have to sell any assets. You just collected your retirement income off of dividends and interest. It can
Nice.
easily go back to where it was
Yep.
because you didn't sell anything.
Right.
You just collected income. And where we talk about timing matters, okay? We're not saying, I think a recession's coming, so I'm going to liquidate my portfolio.
Right.
Where we say timing matters is when you buy and when you sell is a big deal. If you constantly have money coming in, all right, you've got $1 million portfolio, you're generating $65,000 a year. That's a lot of cash. If markets or interest rates go up, so your portfolio comes down, that you don't need that $65,000. That's 65 you get to invest at good deals, right?
Right.
Um, Examples are, rates, corporate bonds, for example. Um, they got down for good, solid companies with rock solid balance sheets. We're paying between 7.5% and 8% for a short period of time. And we saw that. And we said, we want to take advantage of that. So we have bonds coming due. And a bond is an investment contract where the company or the government or municipality that you buy it from tells you all the rules. We're going to pay you X amount of interest for X amount of time. And at the end of the time, you get your cash back. So people have these coming due at all periods of time, which generates even more cash. So they've already got $65,000 that they're generating in income, dividends, interest. And then they have more money coming in. So when we see deals like this, where there's good, solid fortress balance sheet companies that are paying 7.5%, we say, all right, it's time to use this money. Will it get better? Yeah, they could have went to 9, right? But 7.5 is good. Let's start going crazy. And here's an example where it's not timing the market where the portfolio's in cash waiting for these deals. It's just how you use your cash or cash like investments
Right.
to benefit from market cycles, right? Same thing in that example is if you started with 1 million and your portfolio came down to 800,000 right away. Well, some advisors would ask you to put your retirement on hold until it comes back. That's silly. That's absolutely silly. If someone's telling you that, they don't have you set up properly for retirement. They might be a good person, they might be good in the accumulation phase of life, but they don't understand how investments work for retirees.
Right.
Whereas if you were set up right, not only would you benefit from the investments coming down because you'd have cash like investments that you could turn into more income, but you'd also have the income where you can sustain your retirement, right? That's the
Right.
renewable part. You can sustain your retirement even though the portfolio went from 1 million to 800,000.
Exactly. And that is key, is being able to have money available for good buys at the right time and somebody that's watching it to be able to make sure that the timing is done properly. So you can't time the market, but you can time what you buy and when you buy it. And when it's contractual, it makes all the difference because income is key. It's all about income. You've been listening to Financial Strategies with Daniel and Andrew Agemy. Today's topic's been retire smart, how to build renewable wealth. We got to go, but before we go, we want to give you this book, Behavioral Investing, Why Smart People Make Dumb Mistakes with Their Money. We hope that you get this book, 150 pages, easy read, by Dr. Kerry Johnson, to be able to help you to be able to get out of the bad mindset into a good mindset, being able to help you fulfill the purposes, maximize your income, and get the timing right on the whole thing. And so we'd love to be able to put this in your hand to the next 5 callers at 800-725-7616, 800-725-7616. Call now. Best to you.